Hi, welcome back to another episode with the Empath Sisters. This is Bev,
I'm Shelly.
and today we have decided to talk about our fears.
Hmm.
I guess kind of fears that maybe we have, or things that, well, I think we would consider them a fear,
Yeah.
could possibly be maybe definitely a huge dislike. Um, um, and actually, Shelly and I both have had the same fear.
Yeah.
And I don't know for myself, we were both talking about how Shelly and I both have the fear of, or had the fear of
Yes.
birds.
Had. Yeah.
Yeah, had, emphasize on that word had. Um, and I don't know for you, Shelly, if this is something that have you had this fear since childhood, like since you
Yeah,
were
like
little that you
for
remember?
yeah, for me, to be honest, like I only remember having the fear of birds. And so this
Yeah,
is the same fear that we had.
yeah,
For me, I don't really remember. I mean, like I know when you share how you got yours, and
yeah.
yes, it was part of that too. I think that
Yeah,
that really emphasized my fear, but no, I've
right.
always felt very scared of them. I didn't like the fact that like they had, honestly, it was their feet and their feet, like on it, I know it sounds terrible, but like
No,
it was
it's fine.
their beaks and their feet, and like they're fast. And I think that's probably why I don't like mice either, but I mean, I still like, but anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's because of the fast movement. It's
Yes.
unpredictable, which can
Right.
be very scary for people, right?
Correct.
This is why
Yeah.
typically people who have anxiety with fears, which we had talked about anxiety in a past episode,
Yes.
when we have anxiety, it's about like the future, the unknown, it's
Hmm.
scary, what's going to happen. And with anything that moves fast, you
Yeah.
don't really know where they're going to go or what they're going to do. And that's really scary.
It's
Can be
scary. Yeah.
if they move fast and that freaks you
Hmm.
out.
Yeah.
I
And
could see that.
by the way, before we actually dive in,
Yeah.
trigger warning if you do have a fear of anything that we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
So just
True.
letting you know, like we will be talking about things that may be uncomfortable for you. So
Yeah.
just
But
trigger
we're the
warning.
reason why we're talking about them is to hopefully give you some insight as to how we kind of overcame our fear
Yes.
of these.
Hmm.
Um, and that's our hope is that
Yeah.
maybe it's just giving you a different perspective and maybe that could help you too. So
Right. Yes.
if you choose to continue to listen on
Right.
before we dive in. So, but yes,
Yeah.
we will be talking about a couple of little creatures and fears that we have.
Hmm.
Shelly's already taken a big breath there for anybody that didn't see that, if you're not watching. So yeah, there's still a little bit of, some
Yeah.
stuff there and
And
for myself as well.
I was just gonna say, it to me, maybe this sounds maybe, and maybe you can disagree with me, Bev, or maybe correct me and if I'm wrong.
Hmm.
But I think it's normal in some ways to have some, fears, but at
For
the same
sure.
time, I think it's how much fear is attached to it,
Hmm.
like where you,
The level
um,
of it,
yeah,
I would
and
have to say.
yeah, yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
I absolutely think
Hmm.
everybody or feel that everybody has some type of fear
Right,
or fears,
right. Yeah.
and different levels of the fear
Hmm.
within whatever it is.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I do believe that some are carried over from past lives
Hmm.
that are there that we have no idea where they even stem from.
Yeah.
And also because I do hypnotherapy, I do also know that some of these fears can be from our childhood
Right.
and not even remember because at
How?
some point, maybe as a survival mechanism, we just blocked it out, but the feeling was still there and the
Hmm.
feeling will still be there and we will be triggered by it whenever we see it or whenever something happens or when we're in that situation.
Yeah.
So then that can bring up that trigger and then we've got that fear again. So
Hmm.
and then it could just be and throughout our life things that we do remember that totally was like a traumatic moment and then boom now we have this fear of whenever it's coming back up again,
Yeah.
and getting triggered again. So there's so many reasons why we
Yeah.
can have fears,
Hmm.
um, and I'd have to say like, I've learned to get over what I would call the fear of it.
Hmm.
And because I look at it differently now. And for
Right.
myself, there'll be things that I like just really dislike, but I'm not fearful to the point where I fear for my life
Right.
because of whatever it is. So, but we
Yes.
can dive into that. So yeah, Shelly and I both have had the fear of birds.
Yeah.
Shelly says hers started from
Yeah,
ever since you can remember.
yeah, like I just remember being afraid of them. And like Bev mentioned, like it's the unpredictability of them. And it's not, and yeah, like um it has a lot to do with uh, the unpredictability, but at the same time, like I never, and I mean, I changed my opinion on them and I did do things to overcome that fear.
Yeah.
And a part of it is, similar to Bev's fear, but and how she kind of, overcome hers. But for me, it was a part of like waking up one day and just being like, why am I afraid of them? Like what? No,
Yeah.
really, like
Yeah,
like
totally.
what
It's like, what
what
the
what is
heck?
the reason? Like why?
That's
What am
right.
I afraid of this little creature? What has it done anything? Like it hasn't done anything to me
That's
other
right.
than, like me going outside and thinking, "Oh my God, they're going to sweep and, you know, attack me like the movie,"
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
totally.
you know, but I really did. I woke up and I was just sort of like one day, I was like,
Mhm.
why am I afraid of them? And
It's because you recognize to look at it objectively and
right,
not from a fear state.
right.
And that's so important for
Hmm.
anyone that's listening is when you do have a fear because you're in a reaction mode.
Yeah.
And so no matter what, you're going to look at it that way. It's going to trigger your body's going to have the same responses, whether you have anxiety, you're going to flight, you're going to freeze,
Mhm.
whatever,
Whatever.
whatever it is in that survival moment.
Yeah.
But if you can not, when you're in that state, when you're just sitting or laying in bed or doing something
Hmm.
else and can sit there and look at it objectively
Hmm.
at whatever it is that your fear is and go, okay, what about this gives me this feeling? And
Right.
just actually pull yourself away from it
Hmm.
because you know you're safe. You're just looking at it in your mind's eye and just go around it and observe it from a totally different place.
Yes,
And
exactly.
that will help you to look at it without like, okay, actually, there isn't really anything about this. And I'm sure that's probably what you experienced once you pulled
Yeah.
yourself away
Hmm.
and looked at it and went,
Yeah.
okay, well, maybe it is soft and it is nice and it has to
Right.
flutter in order to
Yep.
move,
Yep.
like, so you look at,
Yep.
you just look at it differently.
No, I
And
do.
did that
And
help you?
well, yeah, because what I will say is what made me kind of go to that point was I remember um like a long time ago, I was actually scared of snakes. And
Okay.
I overcome that fear by um and it had to do a lot to do with, at the time was our my oldest daughter, she had to go on a field trip and it was to this like reptile farm. And I
Oh, I
remember
bet she
thinking,
loved that.
well,
She
of
loved
course.
reptilian
Yeah.
stuff.
Of course, Chrissy did. Yeah. She
Yes, she
she had
did.
everything. And so here I am as a mom, I'm going on a field trip with her. And
Yeah.
I remember saying to myself that day, I still it's still clear in my mind that
Yeah.
I remember going, okay, I'm going on this field trip. It's all about like all these like at the time, I was like, "Oh my
These
God, it's gonna
things.
be all this gross, like,
Stuff.
reptile stuff." And I honestly went and said in my mind, "I'm just gonna have an open mind when we go there. Whatever happens, happens." And I
Right.
remember going and we were in this like, like you did your little tour and what have you. And then
Hmm.
we got to this one little section where they had a boa out.
Oh my gosh.
And and like they're huge.
They're huge
So,
and intimidating.
right. And so I was like, oh my God, right? Because I
Yeah.
like honestly, it was beautiful. Like, I mean, as reptiles go,
Yeah.
I know some people don't think they are, but they are magnificent. I think they're just so
All creatures can be so
they are.
amazing.
And,
Absolutely.
I remember the guy who was holding the boa, he was saying, okay, explaining about the snake and all the stuff, all the information
Hmm.
on it. And then he says to everybody, all the little kids, he says, does anybody want to touch him? And I remember going in my head, I need to touch it. I did.
Yeah.
I remember thinking I have to go and touch it because Chrissy was also like, well, I'm going to go touch it, of course.
Well,
Right.
of
And
course.
so
Yeah.
she's looking at me like, are you going to? So I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to go and touch it. So I
Hmm.
remember going up to it. And when I touched it, honest to God, it blew my mind
Yeah. In a
because
good way.
it was a good
Yeah.
way because it blew my mind. You have that misconception of it
Of
being
course.
slimy and
Oh,
and
your mind just makes up
well, and it doesn't
whatever.
help with society, right? Like Hollywood makes it totally,
Oh, I know. Look at psychic
danger bad.
mediums.
Right,
We're,
exactly.
we're like evil people.
Right, exactly. And so I remember touching it and I went, wow. And I
Yeah,
was
so
like
cool.
amazed. I was.
Hmm.
And that right there changed my whole perspective of
Yeah.
anything that was reptile. And so
And
I
so
was
then you
never
weren't
afraid.
afraid.
Nope. Still
Ah,
not
awesome.
afraid to this day. So that kind of was like in my mind anyway with the bird thing.
Hmm.
So it kind of did the same thing. Like I had to think about it. Like,
Yeah.
why am I so scared of this thing?
So if we go back to the snake one,
Mm-hmm.
when you said you were going on the field trip
Mm-hmm.
and in your mind you just went, like, it just popped in your head like, okay,
Yep.
this is what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah, blah. Do you feel, and when you said, I don't know why, it just
Mm-hmm.
popped in my head. Do you feel like that was like your guides popping in, just saying like, just dropping in a different thought of like, it's going to be okay, like helping and assisting you,
Yeah,
preparing you,
yeah,
warning you, anything like that? Looking
yeah,
back now,
yeah, like
where you are
looking back.
today,
Yeah,
I, of
like
course, not at the time. It's just
no.
like a thought. We think
Yeah.
like, oh, you know,
Yeah.
oh, that was
Yeah, because I
interesting.
was
Why
just
would I think about that,
yeah,
that way when I'm like petrified, right?
right? Yeah.
And that's
No.
what I mean, like how you can separate that. It's amazing to have that experience of, oh my gosh, like,
Mhm.
wait a minute. And it just completely switched your
Yeah.
perspective on it, right? Where you went into
Honestly,
it.
yeah, honestly, to be honest, like looking back now, I think
Hmm.
at that time, yes, I would imagine that probably was, but at the same time, for some reason, that feeling of the fear wasn't there. I felt more safe. Like it
Yeah, totally.
felt good, and I was like confident type of thing, whatever
Yeah,
it was just like that feeling of like, I can do this, you know?
totally. And that's
Yeah.
what it feels like when we
Yeah.
follow things that are
Hmm.
divinely guided to us, to help us when
Right.
we move forward. It's like
Hmm.
you feel safe, you feel calm. It's kind of like you fall in alignment instead of being up in the head. And that's all I'm trying to point
Right.
out to our
Yes.
listeners is that
Hmm.
when you're in that place of being in your
Yep.
body and like in a more grounded state, you're
Hmm.
not in your mind.
Right.
We can hear our higher self. We can hear this information coming through.
Hmm.
And you went in grounded, like, okay, I know
Yes.
that I'm doing this today, and I know how I normally am with this, but you know
Yeah.
what? I've got this. I'm
Yeah.
just going to go with an open mind and
Hmm.
have no expectation. So you were already telling yourself, I'm not going into my mind.
Right.
I'm going to stay in my grounded space today when
Hmm.
I get through this. And
Yeah.
how awesome that when you get there, you still stay in that place and not go back up into your head
Right.
going, oh my God, it's right there. He's holding it like, right, freaking
Yes.
out. You
Yeah.
still stayed in a grounded state, but how wonderful because you're also around a bunch of little children.
Right.
And kids give that energy of like,
Excitement.
wow,
Yeah.
right? They're excited about it. It's amazing. And so,
Yeah.
like, you embody almost that energy of
Yeah.
looking at it through children's eyes, because
Yes.
at that state, we don't really have those fears. It's
No.
like we're just open to learning. What is this about? Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, you're also in this beautiful energy to have this experience, which is
Hmm.
great. And that might have been something you already picked up on prior to even going on the field trip, is
Yes.
feeling that energy, because we can pick up on that energy ahead of time.
Of course.
And
Yes.
then while you're there, and even with your daughter looking at you like, I'm going to touch it, right? Like, are you gonna,
Yeah.
and then like
Yeah.
looking up to you as, you know, that
Well,
parent
that
figure,
exactly.
right? The
Yeah.
adult of like,
Hmm.
is this safe? Kids always look to the adult of like, can I do this? Is this
Right.
okay? Is this safe?
Yep.
And so she
Hmm.
was like, I want to do that. Are you going to do
Yeah.
that? Like, are we
Yeah.
doing this? And you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's do it. Right.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
like, how awesome for you to be able to just like be a leader in that way for her as well, even
Hmm.
though she was like You
Yeah, like
didn't, and so what you didn't do is you didn't place your fear onto your child,
right. I was
which
just
is
gonna say
what we
that.
can do to others. This is how we can, going back to the beginning of how we can sometimes have fears from our childhood that aren't even
Yes.
actually ours. They
Right.
could be somebody else's that were placed
Correct.
on us that
Yes,
we felt.
totally. Totally.
And so
And that's
awesome.
exactly it. Yes. And that also happened again
Yeah.
with the bird situation. So like um fast forward, our daughter has two daughters and we ended up having our
Yeah.
granddaughters with us and we took them to a place in Alberta that's called Alberta's Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
it's an amazing
Seriously.
place. I love going
It's
there.
literally my favorite place. I'm always
Yeah.
like, I want to go back there.
Yeah, and we took our
Amazing.
granddaughters and I remember doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Because my oldest granddaughter can have those tendencies of fear. And
Hmm.
so I didn't want her to be afraid when we
Right.
went because she already showed a little bit of fear when we were feeding the ducks, and I could sort of see it. And I thought to myself, yeah, I'm still a little nervous. Like I was, I'm not gonna lie, I was
Yeah.
nervous about going in with the ducks. I kind of just thought I'm gonna stay back because I didn't want to show even more.
Well,
I
they can
wanted
be
them.
quite mean though.
Well, yeah, they can.
They sure can. I would be a little hesitant as well. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, amazing. I love birds now, but
Yeah,
yeah,
me
they can
too.
be
Yeah.
a little bit,
But they were intimidating. And I was
yeah,
like, I don't want to show that. So I stayed
no.
back and, they had fun. I could see that
Yeah,
she was a little apprehensive. Like, they did nip at her, and I have this really cute video of her and it is a little funny because like she literally goes,
of course.
ow, like,
Ah.
like, but, but yeah, moving on, like, we went through other sections of this place
Yeah,
and we were able to hold owls.
yeah.
And
Like, oh my
that's
God,
when,
seriously, my
yeah,
favorite thing.
yeah. And that was the
Oh,
thing where I went, okay, they're doing it. Why
hmm.
can't I do it?
Yeah,
And same thing,
yeah.
the both of them held this little burring owl. It was so cute.
Oh, they are so cute.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna hold an owl. Like I'm gonna be
Yeah.
fine. And they switched and they put a big owl on me. But um, but to be honest, like I remember the feeling. I remember them telling me how to hold the owl and how it was going to be. And
Yeah,
I had my hand out and it really was amazing. It was,
yeah.
and that made me go, oh my God, like this is not that I'm not
You
trying
just
to
looked at it
downplay it, but I
totally
looked at it
different.
like this is nothing. Like, why were you so
So afraid.
afraid?
Yeah.
These
Because
things and
you got to
touching it.
experience them being calm, that they
Yes.
weren't in flight, that they weren't just
No.
bolting or like,
Mm-hmm.
fluttering,
Right.
right? They were
Yeah.
just sitting there calmly. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like you get to actually observe it
Yeah.
differently, right? Through a
Yeah.
different lens. And
Mm-hmm.
that was your experience, which
Yeah.
I also had the same experience. I wasn't afraid of birds prior to the sanctuary that Shelley's talking about,
Right.
which is in Coaldale,
Yeah.
Alberta.
Coaldale. Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
Coaldale, Alberta has this amazing bird sanctuary that Shelley had taken
Yeah.
us to
Mm-hmm.
when she used to live in Lethbridge. And it's amazing. They
It
have
is.
all these different kinds of birds, and they're actually, what was so beautiful about it is they're not enclosed. They're
Right.
not all in cages.
But also
Hmm.
at this place, they are rescues. They're
Yeah,
the ones that bring in these birds and they take care of them till they're back to health
yeah,
as much as
yeah,
they can be. And eventually they do release them back
yeah.
into the
Into the
wild.
wild. Yeah, they kind
So
of like rehabilitate the birds,
yes. Yeah.
and help them with flight,
Mm-hmm.
like flying or whatever they're
Yeah.
needing.
Yeah.
But yeah, they
Mm-hmm.
don't have them in cages. Like
No.
they get to be outside,
Mm-hmm.
open. Like
Yeah.
it's amazing. So it's just the most amazing place,
Mm-hmm.
honestly,
It
and
is.
it's beautiful. So if you
Yeah.
ever get the opportunity, highly recommend it. It is
Yeah.
actually, when they say it's a sanctuary, it really is. It
Yeah.
actually has this
Mhm.
beautiful energy to it.
Yeah.
It's very calming.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. I wanted every bird. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I know.
Some of the
Yeah.
eagles
And
were
they do
so
have a
cute.
huge eagle there.
Oh
And
my
I
gosh.
can't
Like
remember,
amazing.
but I think he's like 27 years old or something like that. I can't remember, but he's beautiful. And
Beautiful. Just to see the talons on that
yeah.
guy. It's like no wonder you can
Yeah,
grab something
it's
huge.
huge.
But you get
Yeah.
to look at them in their
Mhm.
environment almost and just uh,
Yeah.
it wasn't scary. It
No.
literally is really, it's very beautiful and peaceful.
Yeah.
But I think I have almost like a picture of every bird. And yeah, I held the
Mhm.
birds too. And I was literally in my glory. Owls are my spirit animal,
Yeah.
and I
Mhm.
love them
Yeah.
so much.
And
So yeah, I was,
I
oh
love owls too, but to
yeah.
me now I really love ravens and crows.
Oh, I do
they're mine.
too.
They're my spirit animal. And
Yeah.
so now I'm like, oh my God, I love these. I would love to have like even Chrissy, her and I will
Yeah.
talk about it and she'll be like, I would love to have a raven as a pet. I'm like,
I know. Oh my gosh, one of my clients had actually they had a wounded one in the
oh,
backyard, but it was just like a baby one,
mm,
and her kids wanted to keep it so bad. So
yeah,
but they did kind of take care of it a little bit and then had to like
yeah,
pass it on to it
right.
got picked up to be
Yeah,
rehabilitated to go back out into the
right,
wild. But so amazing. And like my fear, I never had a fear of birds. Um
right.
from childhood. And when I was in high school, I was in a class called film studies.
Hmm.
And oh my gosh, we had
I
to
already
watch
know.
the Birds movie by Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah,
And watching that, I don't know, it just scared me. But I
yeah.
think because I embodied the fear in the movie of like,
Well,
and
yeah,
they made you afraid of the scary parts, like where it flutters, and they made them attack
yes.
the people,
Well,
and like it
and
just
they're
made
like,
that like they're so evil,
well,
like
yeah,
gouging
and
out their
they were all
eyeballs.
pros for one,
Yeah,
and they're like poking people's eyes out
yeah,
and
it was
stuff like, yeah,
totally messed up. So then I just was like, oh my God. So like if they fluttered, it scared me
yeah,
because it was like, ah, like what are you
absolutely.
gonna do? Right.
Yeah.
But the only way that I got over my fear
Hmm.
um with birds was, not an experience like yours. For
Right.
me also, it was on a spiritual level,
Right.
being on this journey. And after our dad had passed in
Hmm.
2012, and just, connecting with spirit and learning about signs and
Yes.
stuff like that, that actually, when a bird would appear, or the yellow bird, there's a yellow bird that will just randomly appear.
Hmm.
Like, and
I
yellow
have a
birds aren't
photo of
very
it.
common
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
especially where I live too.
Hmm.
So they'll just literally appear on the fence right beside my window.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my gosh. And at that time, because I was going through my healing journey with the loss of our dad,
Hmm.
it just brought me comfort. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, like that's how I looked
Yes.
at it.
Hmm.
And I needed that. And it wasn't like, I
Right.
wasn't scared of it. It literally
Hmm.
came so peaceful. And that was the energy around it, was peace
Yep.
and comfort. And
Yeah.
that's how I looked at it. And now I'm just like, oh, like now I just love birds. Like I'm just
Hmm.
like, show up in my yard. We even
Yeah.
had put a, a birdhouse in our yard. We were putting bird
Hmm.
seed out there. I have binoculars and a scope, and they come in, and I just love watching them. I'm just like,
Hmm.
wow. And I love looking at the different birds, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. It completely changed my fear of
Yeah.
birds,
Yeah.
or my dislike for birds or whatever. And now I love them. And then going to
Yeah.
that sanctuary was like, oh
Hmm.
my God,
I
be
know.
like
And
close personal with this.
exactly. And, I'm the same way. Like, now I love birds too. And same thing. Like,
Yeah.
uh, you know, I, I'm really into hummingbirds lately. And, but not only that, but like same as Bev, like when we were living in Lethbridge, I had so many
I know.
feeders and all the things, and all these birds would come. And
Yeah.
here in Sherwood Park, we do get a bit, but like some birds too. But
Yeah.
honestly, it's crazy. But like we've had quite a few blue jays, like a lot of blue jays lately.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
it's been pretty cool because, like, I mean, we had
Yeah.
blue jays too when we were in Lethbridge, but not as many as here for some reason. There's just so much more here. And
Yeah.
lately, even the crows, like I was talking with another person, and we just can't believe how many crows are in, like,
The area,
well, not even just the area, but they're like, I don't know what the word is.
like kind of
'Cause
when they're all coming together, like in a
yeah,
flock almost.
yeah, like
Oh, okay. They're flocking
they're
together.
flocking together, and it's
Hmm.
just so bizarre.
Not
Like, I
something you've
know
really
that they
seen.
no, like, I know they get ready to, like, kinda migrate, but they don't, you know what I mean? So they when
Yeah.
in the fall, I know they come together, but it just seems like this whole year they've been like that, and it's weird. But,
Yeah. Oh, I don't
but
think the birds don't know what's going on out
oh, yeah,
there.
no, I know,
They're
and that's why
so
I'm
tapped
watching
into
them because
energy.
it's like,
Yeah. Oh, for
something's up.
sure.
But I
Yeah.
agree with you too, Bev. Like it does, even with dad, you know, being passed and gone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Same thing. I do feel like it's a lot of more comfort now. And like I even have, a tattoo of a bird that's
Comfort.
yellow on my wrist, and that helped a lot too. I feel like it just more and more of
Yeah.
it, I'm not scared of it, right? And
Yeah.
um, yeah, just yeah, it's
I
so
love it so much.
yeah.
So, I mean,
Mhm.
through this story,
Right.
it's, I keep hearing, feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and
Mhm.
do it anyway. Right. And there
Mhm.
is that beautiful saying. And I agree with that. Maybe face your fear. Maybe it's if you're afraid of birds, maybe put a bird feeder in your yard and just
Right.
observe them from the
Yeah.
safety of your home,
Mhm.
and just be able to look at them differently in that
Yeah.
way and not maybe be so afraid, or maybe go to a sanctuary, or pull yourself out of that state of fear when you're not around birds or whatever it is, and just
Yeah.
try to look at it from a different view.
Mhm.
um and see, and
However,
animals do just show up
oh,
for
yes,
signs,
they do.
for messages too. So I don't know, maybe you need to hear that message too.
Yeah,
So
I was
maybe
just
look
gonna
that up.
say I was just gonna say,
Oh my.
just so you know, everybody,
Oh
if you're listening, it doesn't
yeah.
necessarily have to be birds, like, it can be anything.
No,
Because, like, I know Bev still has a fear of something, and so do I,
it's a
and
very much dislike. I don't know about
yeah,
fear, but I'm like,
yeah,
because I know fear is like, okay, well, I'm not gonna die.
right,
And
yes.
I definitely, okay, so I don't like spiders. That's what it is. I don't like spiders. And I do know that any spider that is in my region isn't gonna kill me.
Right.
So I don't need to be like so fearful for my life of them.
Mhm.
But man, oh man, I very much dislike how they look. And literally they make me even gag because I don't even like them. They're so
I'm
gross.
sorry. I'm laughing, but I get it because, like, I don't
They're
have
nasty.
that. I don't have that with
Ugh.
spiders. I'm okay with spiders. I think,
Ugh.
to be honest, I think they're
Sorry.
also amazing things because they
They
eat
are.
they are, and they eat other bugs, so I'm happy with that because,
I
like, I'm
know.
not a fan of insects and what have you, so I don't
No.
mind spiders, but, I just think even, like the other day, like we have so many webs around our, deck and stuff like that. And it's
Yeah,
so super
me
strong. Like
too.
it's just amazing how they can make anyway. But
Oh,
yeah, like spiders
they're
are
incredible.
pretty, yeah, neat. And but for myself, like I
Hmm.
I agree with Bev. Like I don't know if I have a fear, but it feels like a fear to me. Like I really dislike mice. And I have gone through I have gone through so
So
many times.
she has.
I have,
So
like,
here's why I'm laughing.
I know, but
I totally, I've seen
I
this.
have woken up sometimes, and I will have that
Yes.
feeling of, like, "Today's the day I'm not afraid of mice." Like, I have, but then I don't know why, I
Aw,
just can't get
that's so
through it.
cute.
I've had
Yeah.
nightmares about mice. I've had like, and the reason why I have the fear of mice is because they are fast and they are super unpredictable, and I just think they're really nasty. Like I
Yeah.
just think
And they
they're the
don't even
most
really run away from you. They just kind of
they can
run.
climb up you. Like this
Yeah,
is and
exactly.
so like it
So,
freaks me out. And so I
exactly,
had that
which I know with
happen to me.
spiders,
Yeah.
they're not going to crawl on me. They're going to run away from me. That I
Right.
love.
Yes.
right? I don't know where they're
Yeah.
going, which, not knowing where they are kind of
Mhm.
bugs me because it's
Yeah.
like, hmm.
See, that does.
And but I know when I see them, they're not going to run at me and be like, get her,
Right.
like
Yeah.
they're not going to run my direction. They're going to run away from me, which I
Yeah.
love that with,
I
but with
know.
mice, I get that.
Yeah.
They just,
Because,
you don't know. You don't
well,
know where they're going.
and
It's like
like,
ants.
well,
Where are they
yeah,
going?
I don't mind ants. They don't, I mean, I don't particularly, like I said, I don't really particularly like any kind of insect, but I
No.
mean, I'm not afraid of them. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, totally.
but with, I had a mouse run over my feet. And so it
Yeah,
freaked the
well, see,
crap
that
out of
doesn't
me.
help. Exactly. That's not going to help you if it's going to run over your foot. You're
It
not going to be
scared
like,
the,
oh, wow. I would have
oh,
kicked it. Probably that would have been
oh
my
no, I
action.
screamed
I'm
so
sorry
hard.
for anyone that loves mice, but
Yeah,
I might have done that. I might have just been like, and just catapulted it. I don't know, but oh my
I
gosh.
no. For me,
But I know
ever since
you
that happened, oh,
I know you very much dislike that topic of mice. So we can totally switch off that. We can talk
yeah.
about the spider thing because oh my gosh, I didn't even tell you, Shelly, yet. But okay, so I was telling Shelly just like a week or two ago. Seriously, it's this thing with spiders. And because I don't really like them, Shelly's like, stop thinking about them. They're just
Yes,
bringing them to you, which is
yes,
true
she
because
is.
or I pick up on knowing and spirits like you picked up on the frequency, there's one coming and there
Yep.
is one there.
Mm-hmm.
And Shelly and I were doing healing on each other one time that she was here. And
Yes.
I was going to get onto the Reiki bed. I was going first.
Yep.
And so Shelly was like, okay, and I was like, oh, better not be any spiders in this.
No, no. Can we back up? No, back up. So before
So
we
gross.
started, she said, because
Yeah.
this happened. So we had our 1 year empath anniversary,
Yes.
and the last day that we had, like the last event that we
Yeah.
had that evening, there
Mhm.
was a spider. And she freaked out, and I said, leave it alone. Because I said, it's not going to hurt anything. And she's like, oh, I have to, or it's going to probably go in my room. She already put it out there. Okay. So I'm
Yeah.
just
I
putting
wanted it to go
that.
outside.
Yeah.
I don't kill them. I
So,
put them outside.
yeah.
I don't
So
kill things.
then fast forward the next day, we decide we're going to give each other healing because we do that quite often.
Yeah.
And so Bev did go first, and she was
Shouldn't
laying
have.
there, and she didn't say it out loud. She said it in her
No, but I
head.
was thinking, there
Yeah,
better not be
she
no
was
damn
thinking,
spider in my
right.
bed.
And I was thinking it too. I was thinking, oh God, like while I
Yeah,
was giving
double
her healing,
manifestation.
yeah, I'm giving her healing, and all of a sudden it just popped in my head. Like it went boop, and it went, oh, I have a feeling
Mhm.
there's a spider in here. What happens? Oh yeah. I look over, and the dang thing is crawling up on her leg. And I remember going,
Oh my
oh
God.
my God, I better hurry up and get rid of it, or she's gonna freak.
Yeah, and I had no idea. I was totally
No,
like, I totally leave, like I'm out of there.
yeah, it's so
Shelly's just like taking care of the situation for me. She's
so
like, did you feel that? I like jumped and like, oh, and I was like scurrying and trying to like catch the spider. And I was like, oh no, I didn't know a thing. And thank God, because that would have been like the jolt of a lifetime, like
oh
freak
yeah.
out.
And so
Oh,
I got rid of it and all that. And then she gets up, and I'm like, we're talking, and then I tell her, and she's like,
yeah.
what? She goes, see? She goes, we should have got rid of it.
Should have
I
put him
said, yeah, but
outside.
you manifested it was gonna come.
Yeah. Just come into my room, my personal room, just climb up the bed.
Yeah,
Seriously.
it did. I could not believe it. It like because I saw it in my peripheral, and I was like,
It
what
was
is
just
that? I look,
crazy.
oh my God, it's a spider.
So scary. Oh my gosh, I hadn't been at my center for a little while. I had taken some time off and I just went
Mm-hmm.
back a couple weeks ago
Right.
and I
Oh
was
yes,
prepping to
tell me
teach.
about that.
Oh my gosh. it's so embarrassing, honestly. Like
It's not embarrassing.
it is just
It's
so
a truth.
bad.
That's why it's a
It was like, and
fear.
like I like spiders. I have appreciation for spiders. They are amazing. Their bodies, like everything about them is so incredible. We keep them in our backyard, honestly, around the door. Even my husband will
Mhm.
like catch flies and throw them in the web for them. He's like, here you go. Like
Yeah.
they're awesome. I get
Mhm.
it. But anyway, at my work, it's just when they appear. It just
Yeah.
that's the part that just freaks me right out.
Yes.
And so anyway, I was waiting for my client to come. And so I thought, okay, I'm gonna quickly go into my workshop room. I'm gonna set up because I was going to start teaching on the Sunday. And so sometimes I can't hear when people come into my center at the front of the space when I'm at the back of the space. And I do have
Yeah.
bells hanging on the
She
door. But
does. I was just gonna
anyway,
say that.
like seriously, I just so in my zone. So I'm in the back room and I'm setting up, putting all my floor chairs, setting them up and
Mhm.
everything, and all done. And I'm just about to go over to the corner by there's like a table that I have in there where I store stuff, and my fake candles, are stacked over there. And I thought, okay, I'm going to
Mhm.
go grab those because I like to put them in between the chairs and kind of make this circle.
Right.
So anyway, I walk over there and I'm like, just went to like go grab one of these candles, and on top of them was seriously one of the biggest spiders. And I literally screamed, which I will not scream on here because it'll probably hurt your
No.
ears of how
Yeah.
I screamed. But I
Mhm.
went like that, but so loud. And I
So
like
you'll have to
jumped
watch.
backwards because I was "Ah," like it scared me so bad.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, I had no idea at that time, my client, because I probably like jumped out of my body. So at that time, when I left my body, I had no idea my client came in to my center. So I did the flight thing, right? Boom. I run out of my teaching room and I run straight to the front because I was like, I just need to
Yeah.
get the farthest away from this point as possible. So as I'm running, I'm like, screaming all the way out, all the way to the front. And my client is sitting there like, hello, like,
Hello.
what's going on? It's like, okay. And yes, I see spirit and everything, but I always tell people, a lot of my clients even know and friends know that I get scared by humans all the time. Like I'm just
Yeah.
like it just, people scare me. But you think that they wouldn't, but it's only the ones you can't see don't scare me. So
Yep.
anyway, I had no idea she came in. I'm screaming, I'm on the bolt from the spider. So I'm just like, oh my God, just flight
Mhm.
out of here. Get to the front, boom, she's sitting there. I scream again. And then she's like, oh my God, I'm so
Chain reaction.
sorry. And then like I literally had to grab the chair and I was hanging on to it and I was like, oh my God. And I had to like breathe and like come back into my body because it's like, okay, as a double whammy, like exit out of my body. And I
Yeah.
was like, I just stared at her and I was like in that shock state. And I was like, I have to call my husband. I have to call my husband. I need to, there's a spider. Like I couldn't even formulate words. I was like, I have to call my husband. He needs to come remove a spider. There's a spider in my back room. It's so big. Right. And she's like, I can remove it for you. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, are you sure? Like I felt so bad. But I was
Yeah.
like, if you don't want to, it's okay. I'm gonna go, I'll call my husband. He'll
Yeah.
come down here.
He'll do it.
She's like, no, I can. And I was like, okay. And she goes, I just need a Kleenex. I went, no, you can't kill it.
You're
It's
right.
so big.
Yes.
And the
Mhm.
thought of her touching it with the Kleenex because it was so big, it wasn't just a little thing. You
Right.
maybe feel it in the Kleenex. Anyway, so then I was like, you can't kill it. She goes, no, I won't. I just need to I'll just grab it and I'll
Yeah.
put it outside. And I went,
Mhm.
no, I went, I'll give you a cup, like a cup as well. Like you could just like put it in there, right? Like don't touch it. Anyway, so we go to the back room. She's like, show me where. So I show her. I'm like, it's over there. And I'm so far away from her. I'm like at the other opposite corner of the it's like,
Yeah.
it's over there. It's on there. And then I can hear her shuffling around and she's like, oh, he's trying to get away. Oh, hang on. And
Mhm.
I'm like, oh
Mhm.
God. And I'm waiting. Is it going to come running out this way? Right.
Right. Yeah.
And then she got it. I got it. and I heard it go into the cup. I don't even know why this has never happened to me before. She puts it in the cup and I hear clunk. Okay. That's how big the spider is. And then I started gagging. I was like, ugh, ugh. So bad. And she's like, oh, it was horrific.
Oh,
Anyway, oh my God. Seriously. So she put it outside. So
mhm.
grateful. Told
Yes.
everybody in class the next day. I was like, you all need to be thankful because she is one of my students. I was like, you all need to be thankful for her today because she saved the spider out of
She's
this room the other day. And it's not just going to come jolting out of here, which was so crazy because we were doing this little experiment of like tapping into energy and everything. And
Yes.
everybody had their eyes closed. And we were all doing this experience. And
Yeah.
in my mind, I was like, I could see it like crawling on the floor. And I went, oh, thank God she
Yeah.
got rid of it because if we all had our eyes closed when this thing crawled out, that would have been really scary, right? And then I went,
Yeah.
oh, stop it.
Yeah,
So
it's
whatever.
gone. Yeah.
Then we all open our eyes and we all start talking about stuff and what we saw and felt and whatever. One of my students says, yeah, she says what she got. And then she goes, yeah, and I don't know why. Then all of a sudden, like a spider popped in right at the end. And I was like, well, that's weird. Get out of here. And I was like, oh, and I hadn't talked yet. So I was like, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
And this is why. So I
Yeah.
explained the story. Oh my gosh. And then, oh my God. So this is what I haven't told you yet. And this is why I had to
Okay.
talk about the backstory.
Yeah.
I've already had another one in my center, which my son was able to rescue, which took him 20 minutes to drag it with the cup and paper to the front door. I was like, you're so amazing. Seriously. We just don't, they're so big. I don't know why. We don't like big spiders. Anyway,
That
so
means because they are eating the other bugs that you would have had.
I know I'm just like, please just go back outside. Just please go outside. You don't need to be in
It's
here.
cold out.
So my husband tells me he just moved into like a new place and is staying in a new place in Regina where he's working. And he's like, I said, oh, how was your sleep there last night? Your first night there? And he's like, oh, it wasn't bad actually, but I woke up this morning and I felt like something was on my face. I was like, oh, he was
Oh
like,
no.
yeah. And he's like, yeah. And then he goes, so I like rubbed my face and he goes, and then I like looked and he goes, and I had spider legs on my hand from like,
Mm-hmm.
he goes, so that wasn't cool, waking up, there's spiders on my face. And I was like, ugh.
Okay.
Just like, that is so
Okay. Now
gross.
that's funny you say that
Yeah.
because my husband,
Yeah.
Dwayne, is scared
Yes.
of spiders.
Yeah.
You
He is
know,
too.
he
Like,
is.
he is legit.
He's
Like,
like,
he's
it
scared.
is a
Like,
fear.
it's a fear
Like,
for sure.
he will
Yeah.
get heebie-jeebie goosebumps all over his body.
Yes, that poor
That's
guy.
how fearful he is. And that's why I'm the spider girl. Like, I have to take care of it. But
Shelly's the brave one.
yeah, so I will have to get it.
Yeah.
But we had this discussion about how they say that in an average in a
Yeah.
year, how many
Oh, I know. I know what you're gonna say.
yeah. So
That you eat
disclaimer, you
spiders in your
actually eat spiders and they can come into your yeah,
oh
apparently
my
now.
gosh.
And so this freaks my husband out all the time. So I hope that he does not listen to this episode.
I know, or anyone that really, really, really doesn't like them, just stop listening.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
yeah, like I get it. Because they can be fast, trust me. They
Yeah.
and when I say I don't it's not that I'm saying that I love spiders or anything like that.
Mhm.
I don't mind them. They don't bother me. But I
Yeah.
will say when they do move fast, they do
Yeah.
creep in that little bit of fear in me because that's
Yeah,
that
totally.
unpredictability, right?
That's what I don't
And
like.
yes, exactly. And that's what I was just gonna say was that I think a lot of it is because it's no different than what I just said about,
Yeah.
the other creatures that we were talking about earlier, right?
Mhm.
It's the
Mhm.
unpredictability, how fast they can go, and all this kind of stuff. And we just don't
Yeah,
know what they're going to do.
totally.
And, you know, and that's part of it with you know, with your fear, not like, or whatever, dislike for spiders, same with Dwayne,
Yeah.
you know, because really, like, he's not afraid of anything, really.
No.
He's a pretty chill guy.
Well, I'd have to say for Dwayne, I could see how his could be a legit fear
Right.
because he's also, which people don't know, he's had experiences of like
Yes,
creatures running up his legs.
that's right.
Okay,
Yes,
like
he is
from
afraid of ants.
and
Yeah,
different kinds of creatures,
yeah.
ants to mice
But
to
I want
whatever.
the reason
So,
why I wanted to bring that
ugh.
up is because it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, how I didn't want to inflict the fear of snakes to my
Hmm.
daughter.
Right.
Well, this is part of why I think Dwayne has the fear, is because his father is petrified of spiders, like
Oh, see.
totally.
Oh,
And
darn.
so, yeah, I feel that he absorbed, like
Took on
he
that fear
took on
too.
that fear too. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's why, and that's why he's you know, afraid of them too.
Yeah,
I
of
don't I
course.
think that he wouldn't be as afraid if he didn't see his dad being afraid.
Yeah.
I get that he's afraid of ants, because
Hmm.
he did unfortunately step on an ant hill and didn't know, and they were the red ants, and they,
Oh,
you know, climbed up his legs and was biting him and all that. So he does have a legit
that's,
fear,
yeah, totally.
you know, for those. So yeah, like he's really, like I said, just he's pretty laid back. He's not afraid of a lot of things. And
Hmm.
but I feel that he has taken on the fear of spiders, but
Yeah.
is scared of course, legit scared of, I shouldn't say that he's scared of ants. He just doesn't like them. It's like your fear, you know, he just doesn't like
Yeah.
them because he's had, you know, an experience
Negative
with them.
experience.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, you
Maybe
know,
that's
so
also why I don't like Halloween as much either.
right,
Creepy crawlies like
right,
rats and like mice
yes,
and spiders and
because
ugh.
they
They make it like they're
make
just
it
so
their,
eh.
yes,
Yeah, and they just ruin it. So I think this is why we need to like pull ourselves out of it
yes,
and you know, just
yeah,
try to look at it objectively, you
right,
know, and just
yeah,
watch them. And that's what I've done. And that's what my husband has done for me as well with spiders is like, no, honey,
hmm,
like they're okay. Look at them. Like, and
yeah,
they'll build these beautiful webs and they're in the corner of the window and I get to
yes,
watch them.
yeah,
And that's why I think they are so amazing
yeah,
and they are fascinating. And
they
yes,
are,
they eat insects and I love that. And,
hmm,
but I just don't like when they run
right,
so fast. It just,
yeah,
or if it just, it's like a surprise, right? It's just
yes,
like
right,
when a client comes in, I love my
right,
clients, but
yeah,
when they just come in and I'm not expecting it, it's just like
I
freak me
know.
out. So
Well, exactly.
it's not
Yeah.
just that, you know, I can look at them that way,
No.
but
Yep.
anyway, so yeah, we just wanted to
Yeah.
share some of our fears maybe that we
Yeah.
had had
Yeah.
and how we were able to overcome them and have these
Hmm.
amazing experiences. And we just wanted to share that with you in
Yeah.
hopes that maybe you can look at maybe some of
Your.
your stuff
Yeah.
too, or from a different place, or maybe want
Yeah.
to just face them or
Yep.
take an opportunity to go and find a place where you can look at them like
Yeah.
through something and just try
Yep.
to pull yourself out of the fear of it and look at it as a living being
Right.
and what it why is it made the way it's made and what it
Hmm.
does it
Hmm.
everything has a purpose. There's a
Yes.
couple things where I'm like, really, I don't know what the
I
purpose is,
know.
but you know, looking at it, it's like, wow, it is actually amazing. It is so fascinating. You know,
Yes.
even like looking at the woman's body of how it can like hold a baby, grow a
Yep.
baby, you can feed your baby. Like it's, and then your stomach goes back and like all the things. It is literally incredible. And
Yep.
so looking at some of these creatures, there are reasons for
Why they
them and
are. Yeah.
and why they're made the way they are.
Hmm.
It's literally incredible. So
It is. And
anyway,
that's
that is
why
our
they are.
encouragement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
we just wanted to share that all with you. And
Hmm.
hopefully we didn't scare anybody today
Right.
or trigger you in any way. But again, the purpose of doing these episodes and stuff and bringing these things up is just to share our experiences in the
Yes.
hopes that we can maybe help you as well in some way.
Well, and just to
And
give
just change
awareness.
perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
so
So,
we
yeah,
appreciate you all.
we do. Thank you so much for listening to our episode today. And remember, we
Yeah.
are on any podcast you listen, like a
Platform.
platform,
Yeah.
and you can watch us on YouTube at Empath Sisters, or you can
You
see us
bet.
on Facebook with Empath Sisters, or you
Yeah.
can
Instagram.
follow us on Instagram _Empath Sisters. But yeah,
well.
we
Yeah.
totally appreciate you all for listening to us,
Yay.
and we're sending you love, light, and gratitude where this may find you.
Yes. Take care, everybody.
Take
Thank you
care,
so much.
everyone.